I will tell you, I'm humbled to be asked to be here with so many people that are part of my lives. And I think that we'll spend some good time together. And I will tell you that all questions will be answered, even if it's always a lie. Okay. I'll even try to do it, even if it's a lie. I graduated in 1974. And I will tell you that I believe I got to be in the golden age of dentistry. And when we look at this composite of slides, and we see on the upper left-hand side that someone really was working hard at developing a Gothic arch tracer in the 1800s. And we see on the right side that these depictions of people having their teeth pulled out and how people were having their teeth drilled and all the changes we've made. And in 1973, a guy named Paul Schnittman came back from Sweden and said, one of the breakthroughs of dentistry is going to be implant dentistry. And he would spend a day trying to convince people that titanium integrated into bone. And now when I do my implant lectures, I don't spend any time talking about osseointegration because we take it as an accepted method of dentistry. And if you look at the center and you look at that chair with that foot-driven drill, imagine having to go through that and why patients are afraid of the dentist. And I still have patients who are in their 80s and 90s and say, I don't want any Novocaine. I don't want any Novocaine, because what they remember is how horrific Novocaine was back in the 50s. So I feel very blessed that I've gotten to practice in the golden age of dentistry. Now, I really believe that if you don't have a mission statement for your practice, you better develop one. And I'm pleased to talk about the business of dentistry because I think it's so important to understand the business aspect of what we're doing. So if you don't have a mission statement, steal mine. I have no problem with you stealing it. And my mission statement from the beginning of my practice was to provide the highest quality care for the most number of patients while maintaining a balance between the art, science, and business of dentistry. Bad research, a good product used the wrong way. It's so common in dentistry. So you want to have your practice using materials that are based on good research and not based on, my friend calls it, geographic research. And also, we are in the business of dentistry, and we need things that are repeatable and reliable. It has been said that if you lose 25% of your dental implants, you're out of business. And it's if every time you did a procedure, it broke, then you're doing those cases for nothing. And the more sophisticated you go, the higher up on the ladder, the more sophisticated your dentistry, it is more fraught with problems. So just because someone says it works, you need to make sure that's repeatable and reliable. And the phrase that people use, just because someone did it, you can do it, is not necessarily so. So who am I? Well, I'm a 71-year-old guy. I've been in practice for 44 years, last week. And quite frankly, I was fired from my 3 previous practices. And I started on a second floor walk-up in Stratford, Connecticut. My wife was 9 months pregnant. I had been fired from my job. I started my practice. I borrowed $40,000 from my father. And I spent $35,000 of it, and I kept $5,000 in reserve. And I was running out of money, and Betsy's water broke 1 week into private practice. And I turned to her and I said, does that mean you're not coming in? And I thought, I don't know if I was sincere or it was a joke, but I couldn't figure out how I was not going to be in my practice. But now we have 5 dentists. We have a staff of 25. We're open 6 days a week, 4 evenings a week. Bigger is not better, but I'm in the same location I was when I started 44 years ago. I grew up in Old Town, Maine. I went to the University of Maine. I was flunking out of the University of Maine. I then went to a school called Drew University in New Jersey. I applied to dental school. I did not get in. I then went to the University of Bridgeport to get my master's degree. I then got into dental school at Tufts. And I will tell you, my first year and a half of dental school was insanity for me. Insanity. The truth of the matter is that I have a very interesting learning disability. My learning disability is that I have almost zero auditory memory. It's very unique. And what it basically means is that if you spell any word to me over 5 letters, I have no idea what you've told me. And so therefore, I had to develop techniques to learn from using a Bic pen that had 4 colors in it. All of my notes are 100% in color. And I never lecture with any notes because when I see something, I can see it. And quite frankly, it's determined I have somewhat of a photographic memory, which is a little bizarre because I can tell people about their upper left bicuspid, but I can't remember their name. And I'm still learning, and I'm learning from everyone that I can learn from. I've been married for 48 years, 3 daughters, 2 grandchildren. And I will tell you what actually made it happen for me is I still suffer from a fear of failure. It's a problem. I still worry about my schedule. I still worry about not doing a good job. I still worry about that Mrs. Jones's roundhouse that I did 30 years ago will break off and I won't know what to do. It is the fear of failure that's driven me forward. My learning disability helped me a lot, though, because if you show me something, I know what I have to do to make it look like that. So I am called a cutter downer, and I will explain that to you in the lecture. I'm really a lightweight. It took me a long time to figure out how to get out of the fishbowl, because the thing about me is I thought growing up that my middle name was No. My parents would say, Jeffrey, no, Jeffrey, no, Jeffrey, no. And then I realized that you do one of 2 things. You either shrink away from that or you try to expand your horizons. So someone only has to say no to me and they're in trouble, because I'm going to find a workaround. I'm going to find a way. And when I say that, if you look at immediate dental sealing and resin coating and deep marginal elevation, I have been doing this for years, but I never published it. And as a matter of fact, in one of Ray Bertolotti's 5th quarter seminars, one of his newsletters, we sort of published it there in a non-jury journal, because I talked about being able to save teeth without having to do crown lengthening, without having to put a patient through a very difficult procedure. So all of you are smarter than I am, and you're more capable than I am, and you're more gifted than I am, and you're able to do much more beautiful dentistry than I can do. And when you think about it for a second, if you made it through organic chemistry, you can do anything. And if you can untangle that thread on the left, you're more than capable. But the problem is that you've got so much information coming at you that it's difficult to figure out who to believe and what to understand. And we need to understand, what do teeth look like? Remember in dental school how we spent all those hours waxing up teeth? You think we were waxing up these teeth because they were trying to piss us off? Because they want us to see what normal is. We want us to understand what normal looks like. So for me, you give me a piece of composite and a handpiece, I'm going to turn it into a tooth because I know what teeth are supposed to look like.